Stories of Great Christians. From its radio studios in Chicago, the Moody Bible Institute greets its friends everywhere with Chapter 16 in the transcribed story of Peter Marshall, chaplain to the United States Senate. The story is based on Catherine Marshall's biography, A Man Called Peter, published by the McGraw-Hill Book Company.
The March meeting of the Washington City Presbyterial was in progress in the basement lecture room of our church. I sat near the windows looking out on the heavy, rumbling traffic, waiting for the time to give my talk. The early spring sun streaming in on my back was pleasantly warm, and I felt drowsy. But suddenly, there was a different sensation. The bottom seemed to be dropping out of everything. And though I'd never fainted in my life, I knew only too well what this strange sensation must mean. I began praying inwardly, Lord, you know I have to make this talk. I'll never get through it without your help. In a few minutes, the dizziness cleared. Somehow I spoke. I have no idea what I said. But from that morning, I knew that I was a sick woman.
How are you feeling, Catherine?
I'm better, Peter.
You should never have left my office.
I had to speak to the ladies.
And you did a good job, too. Now you just rest there on the couch.
Yes. Feels good.
I've called our doctor. He's on his way.
Thank you, dear. I just can't understand what came over me.
Don't worry about it, Kate. The doctor will soon be here, and he'll tell us what we're up against. Well, Doctor?
I can't understand it, Dr. Marshall. Obviously, there's some kind of infection present, but just where is a question I can't answer.
What can we do?
Well, there's a very fine clinic in Baltimore. I think your wife should have a complete physical checkup, and she should go right away.
You have the report for me, Doctor?
Yes, Mrs. Marshall. Please sit down.
Have you discovered anything?
I think so. Mrs. Marshall, 9 months ago, as you know, your examination showed several indications of some kind of chronic infection.
Yes.
We weren't sure at that time what it was. There was an increase in the white blood count, and X-rays of your chest showed some markings radiating from the hilus, although the lobes were clear. Now, our pictures show definite intrapulmonary markings and heavy shadows radiating into both lungs.
In other words, it's tuberculosis.
I'm afraid so, Mrs. Marshall.
Well, what shall I do?
We recommend a period of absolute rest, perhaps in a sanitarium. You shouldn't have to do any work of any kind, certainly no housework.
That's easier said than done, Doctor.
Mrs. Marshall, anything can be done if it must be done.
Is there danger of my husband and son contracting the disease from me?
I don't think you're a very dangerous woman, Mrs. Marshall. Actually, we're unable to locate the bacilli, although we know they're present. Your doctor in Washington will want to try again.
Doctor, I've always thought tuberculosis was due to malnutrition. I've never suffered from lack of food.
Well, a great many well-known people have had tuberculosis, you know, of whom very few were poor in the strict sense of the word. There was Francis Thompson, Robert Louis Stevenson, Anne and Emily Bronte, John Wesley, John Keats, Catherine Mansfield.
I see. How long will it take me to get well, Doctor?
Possibly 3 or 4 months, perhaps more. Mrs. Marshall, don't feel too badly about it. There are worse diseases than this, you know, and people do recover.
Let's look in on Peter, shall we? He should be saying his prayers about now.
I'd love to, dear, but the stairs.
Here, let me help you.
Oh, really? Oh.
I guess I could still carry you up the stairs, though I am getting pretty soft. There now.
Thank you. Oh, Peter. I feel so helpless. Sometimes I think I just can't take it.
It's been hard for you, Kate. I know. Shh. Listen.
And dear God, bless Mommy and Daddy, and thank you, God, for letting my daddy stay home this one evening. Amen.
Well, can you imagine? Poor little tyke. I wish I could be at home more often, Kate. I've just got to cut some of these outside preaching engagements.
It's been hard for you too, hasn't it? Take me downstairs, please.
Of course. Here, just relax. Good thing you don't weigh so much. The sofa be all right?
Mm-hmm.
There you are.
Thank you. Peter,
Yes, Kate?
we've been missing morning devotions.
Yes.
We shouldn't.
But you need your rest. The
The doctor doesn't know everything. I've missed those wonderful times we used to have.
Me too. Of course, we do have it at the table with Peter.
I know, darling, but it isn't the same.
All right. Let's begin tonight. You've been reading a great deal lately, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. I've gone through the New Testament and the Gospels several times. And I've been very interested, naturally, in what Christ did for sick people.
Yes. He could never refuse himself.
Peter, why is it the church doesn't teach more about this?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe we've lost our bearings.
Christ never turned anyone down. And Peter, why shouldn't he hear our prayer too?
No reason, Kate? And there are hundreds praying with us.
I never believed much in miracles. I mean, in this present day, age of science and all that, I guess I've always believed in unchanging laws of nature. But God still answers prayer. It seems to me there are spiritual laws, spiritual conditions which must be met.
Of course. You're right, Catherine. We must be on what Mither called praying ground.
Peter, I've had a new insight into the love of God. All these long 12 months thinking of that, I've seen so many things I've done that were wrong, and so many things I haven't done that I should have done. Going to church all my life hasn't been enough. So I've been writing lots of letters.
I know, Kate. I've been mailing them.
I've been asking for forgiveness for things I said and did, even way back into my childhood. Kind of squaring things up with God. Funny how you remember things when you're in bed all day and all night. And God has come very close to me, Peter.
I'm glad, Kate. And you feel better about things, don't you?
I know everything will be all right. I have an assurance I never had before.
Well, Doctor, how is she?
Well,
Please don't shake your head at me, Doctor.
Doctor, is she better?
I'm sorry, Doctor, Mrs. Marshall. So far as I can see, there's absolutely no change at all.
Catherine, I really think it would be best for you to take a holiday in Virginia with your folks. What do you think? You can take the steamer to Norfolk. I'd go with you if I could, but I can't. How about it?
Of course, Peter.
Don't you want to go?
Why, I think I'd like to.
Fine. I'll make the arrangements. Oh, by the way, Kate, I picked up this little book at the office today. You might read it. Situation not unlike your own.
It seemed just a little thing, but that pamphlet turned out to be of great importance in my life. God had not really failed me after all. He was just leisurely, as he usually is. My prayers were heard. The pamphlet was written by a former missionary who'd been bedridden for 8 years. She kept asking God, why? She couldn't understand why she should be laid on the shelf when she was doing the Lord's work. There was rebellion in her heart, and she'd pray, nothing would happen. Up to this point, the story was like mine. And then this missionary finally prayed, "All right, Lord, I give in. If I'm to be sick for the rest of my life, I bow to thy will. I want thee more than I want my health." In 2 weeks, the miracle happened, and she was well. That was it. The only way left to me was the right way, being willing to submit and accept God's will, no matter what it should be. I prayed with tears, knowing the reality of true surrender for the first time. Early that morning, a strange thing happened. The clock on my nightstand said 3 a.m. I was thinking of all the wonderful miracles of the New Testament and what Christ would tell me to do if he were there. And suddenly, unexplainably, he was there, right beside me. I can't describe it. I'm not a mystic by temperament. In fact, the whole question of healing had been rather foreign to my thinking. But that morning, Christ had a very simple command for me. Arise and walk. Mother? Mother? Mother?
Catherine, what are you doing up? What in the world? It's early morning.
Is Mother awake, Dad?
Yes, Catherine? What is it? Why, dear, you're walking.
Yes, I can't explain everything to you now, Mother. I'll do that in the morning, but I wanted to tell you that everything is going to be all right. Everything is all right.
Mrs. Marshall, I have good news for you. No, you're not cured yet, but you're on the way. After 14 months, this is the first sign of improvement. And X-rays don't lie. And so we conclude Chapter 16 in the transcribed story of Peter Marshall, chaplain of the United States Senate. The story is based on Catherine Marshall's biography of her husband, A Man Called Peter, published by the McGraw-Hill Book Company. This is another in the series of stories of great Christians, which come to you from the radio studios of the Moody Bible Institute in Chicago.